Hello and welcome to Catholic Answers Live. I'm Cy Kelly, your host. 2 hours of open forum today and two wonderful guests. First hour, Tim Staples. Second hour, Joe Heschmeyer. So a good time to get on the line if you've got a question, whether you are Catholic or not, whether you're a Christian or not, whether you're a believer or not. Your questions are welcome here. Ask any question you want about the Catholic faith, from the person of Jesus to the Bible to the history of the church to the doctrines of the church, any of it. 888-318-7884 is the number. 888-318-7884. And now I'm going to give that number out a couple more times, and then I'm going to go to a different number because also we got to take a little bit of time this hour to raise money, because that's how we fund this program, to pay for what we do here. We come on the air and ask you to support it 4 times a year. We come on and make that request, and we only do it for 6 hours at a time. 6 hours. We spend 6 hours, and then we only use a little bit, a bit. I shouldn't say a little bit. We only use a bit of each hour to raise money. So, if you've got open forum questions, if you've got a question you'd like to ask Tim Staples this hour, here's the number a couple more times, and then I won't say it again this hour. 888-318-7884. Jot it down if you're thinking about calling later. 888-318-7884. Now to the number that you can call to support us. That's the number we'll be giving out throughout this hour. We have a whole bunch of phone lines open. We got Tim Staples in the studio with us. And Tim, what do we got for a match this hour?
We've got $20,000, my friends, a $20,000 match. Just like yesterday, and I have to start by saying thank you, my brothers and sisters. Yesterday, you came through both hours. We love you, each and every one of you that gave. You really came through for us yesterday. And we're going to ask you again, folks. You know, people ask me, Tim, you seem to like doing this. And I say, absolutely. That is asking for money.
Yeah.
And you know why I like asking for money here? Because I believe in what we are doing here at Catholic Answers. What do we do? 24/7 through media, as well as all that you see here. We give people Catholic answers. That's what we do. Not Cy Kellett's opinion, Tim Staples' opinion, or as I said yesterday, our old boss Carl Keating used to say, you can give your opinions here and there, but tell the people this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
Because they're not really tuning in for your opinions. They're tuning in to hear the Word of God, the truth as it has been presented for 2,000 years in Scripture and tradition, as by it and as it is interpreted by the magisterium of the Catholic Church. And that's what we do, my friends. And so we are coming to you now to help us to be able to do it even more and perhaps even better, because we've got stuff planned, folks.
We do.
For the future, but we need your help. Right now, don't wait until the second hour, and don't wait until tomorrow. We need you right now at 888-291-8000. We need those $25 gifts one time, a $50 gift one time. Believe me, we love you. In fact, those gifts are going to be doubled immediately. You give $25, pow, it becomes $50. You give $50, pow, it becomes $100. We need those monthly gifts as well, folks. This is our bread and butter. The monthly gifts, $25 a month. And because, now, I don't want to go out on a limb here. I am assuming we have another match on the monthly donors.
We do. It continues until it's out of money, and we still have a match available.
Oh my goodness! So, folks, hear me. If you give a monthly gift, it is going to effectively be tripled, not just doubled. Monthly gifts are going to be tripled. So you give $25 a month right now at 888-291-8000. And that becomes $900. Think about it. $25 a month, that's $300 a year that you're giving. But because we have a match and then another match on top of it, because you're a monthly giver, that becomes $900. Folks, you give a gift right now of $100 a month. Guess what? That becomes $3,600, folks. Please get on the phone, 888-291-8000. And we got to ask right now, we haven't gotten our $10,000 gift yet. This drive, we are looking for that $10,000 gift, and we've not gotten that $20,000 gift yet. Is that you? Give us a call, 888-291-8000. I know there are people listening right now that can do that, And folks, you know what? Again, I'm going to say this real quick, Si, but I'm always reminded of 2 Corinthians chapter 9 when St. Paul was asking for gifts from the Corinthians, right? He says, it is superfluous for me to write to you about the offering for the saints, right? He's asking for financial assistance for the gospel, right? And he challenges the Corinthians. And I'm going to skip down a lot of beautiful things that he says. But he says the point is this in verse 6. He who sows sparingly will reap sparingly. He who sows bountifully will reap bountifully. St. Paul understood what we understand, my friends, is that when you give, you become a partaker in all of what we do here in our apostolic work. That's not just cliche. This is St. Paul. You can see it in Philippians 4:19 as well. St. Paul talks about this, how the gifts given to the ministry are like sacrifices that ascend up and are acceptable unto God, and you become a partaker in all the labors of St. Paul. And here, all the labors that we accomplish here at Catholic Answers. Now, let me read verse 7. Each one must do as he has made up his mind, not reluctantly or under compulsion. Now, Si, I'm going to try not to use compulsion here, okay?
Well, good luck if you do use it.
I will use begging, but not compulsion.
Right.
I'm not forcing anyone.
No.
And St. Paul makes a very important point. Not reluctantly, not under compulsion. Why? Because God loves a cheerful giver, he says. And God is able to provide you with every blessing in abundance so that you may always have enough of everything and may provide in abundance for every good work. That is what it's all about, folks. So please, we need right from the start now. We've got 8 open lines right now. We need you to call 888-291-8000. Give that gift now. And remember, you can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. You don't have to wait in line. You always go right to the top of the line, right? Or right to the front of the line, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Or you can very easily text Catholic to 24365.
888-291-8000 is the number to go to make your pledge. As Tim said, there's 12 of our colleagues on the lines right now, only 4 lines full, so a perfect opportunity to make that call. It does get busy as the pledge drive goes on. We're grateful for that, but right now, if you would fill up those lines, it would mean a great deal to us. I am going to go to the phones because we are here to do work, and we as much as we need to continue to ask you for your help and support, we're going to continue to do what we're here to do, which is answer questions about Jesus and his church. 888-291-8000. Go ahead and pick up that phone, and I will pick up this phone. Devontae is in our old friend Devontae in Texas, listening on the Catholic Answers Live app. Devontae, haven't heard from you for a while, but it's nice to hear from you. Welcome.
Good evening. How are you guys doing?
Very well, thank you.
Yes, sir. I had a question about, which is fitting because you have Timothy Staples there. I have a question about Mary.
Okay.
We have to do a pledge drive. Tim will not stop talking about Mary if you get him started. Devontae, bad choice. Bad choice to start off with. All right, go ahead.
You go, Devontae. You go, brother.
So I was listening to a dialogue between 2 Protestant theologians.
Okay.
And they were talking about, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, so you'll have to say it correctly.
Okay.
But Pope Pius IX's Constitution, Ineffabilis Deus,
Yeah,
however you say it.
Yes, it's Ineffabilis Deus. Ineffabilis Deus, yes.
Right, and that, yeah.
That.
And they and they said that in this Constitution that I have not read, because whenever I looked it up, I only saw the Latin. They said that Pope Pius says, in reference to Genesis 3:15, that he says that Mary crushed the head of the serpent.
Yes.
And he said, I'll stop there. He said that he says that Mary crushed the head of the serpent.
Yes.
It's one question, but it has 2 parts. Did Pope Pius actually say that? And what does that mean?
Gotcha.
Okay, Devontae, got it.
Great question, Devontae. And first of all, we have to make a distinction. In that letter, Ineffabilis Deus, he does mention that Mary crushes the head of the serpent. That is a fact. But it is not part of the definition of the Immaculate Conception. The definition comes at the end of the letter, and that, states quite plainly, by a singular privilege of grace, God preserved Mary free of all stain of original sin and so forth. So it's not included in the infallible declaration, but it is included in the text. And of course, even though it's not part of the infallible declaration, it is a truth. No doubt about it, because of course Mary crushes the head of the serpent. And this is what we understand this to mean. In Genesis 3:15, prophetically after the fall, of course, God comes right, I love the way God puts it, right in the face of the devil. The devil thinks he had won. And, God says, you haven't won because you got the wrong woman here. This is where God promises. He says, I will place enmity between you and the woman. That is the devil, speaking to it right in his face. You and the woman, her seed and your seed. And then you will strike at his heel and he will crush your head. Okay, and so the first meaning of this text, who is it that crushes the head of Lucifer? It's the seed of the woman who is Jesus Christ. In that prophecy, the first meaning of the seed that crushes the head of Lucifer is Jesus Christ. However, we find, Devante, in Romans chapter 16, verse 20, St. Paul says, we are looking forward to the time when God will crush the head of Lucifer beneath your feet, referring to all of us. Well, referring first to the Christians at Rome, to whom he's writing, but of all Christians, he says, God will crush the head of Lucifer under your feet. So that promise, according to St. Paul, is not exclusively to Jesus in the sense that it's absolutely Jesus alone. All right, it is Jesus, but because we are members of the body of Christ, we participate. In other words, Paul's not getting it wrong here, right? St. Paul has just gone through great lengths teaching in chapter 12 about the body of Romans chapter 12, that we are the body of Christ. And so as members of the body of Christ, we crush the head of Lucifer as well. So, of course, if we participate in the crushing of the head of Lucifer, the Blessed Mother participates in the crushing of the head of Lucifer in a singular way, above and beyond all others. So, brother, thanks so much for your call, because as our boss Chris Check said yesterday, questions like these are priceless, because I will guarantee you there were probably hundreds, if not thousands, of people who needed to hear that answer, Devante. So thanks for calling. And folks, this is why we need you to help us to stay on the air, and not just stay on the air, but we want to grow. We want to expand, folks. Come, join with us. If you like that answer, come on, folks. Help us to answer that question and literally tens of thousands of others, as we do every single day here at Catholic Answers. Please pick up the phone now, 888-291-8000. Please do not wait. We've only got 3 people calling right now. We've got 14 open lines. We need your help, folks, at 888-291-8000, or you can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com or text Catholic to 24365. But listen to me right now. That's right. Put your cup down there. Okay, listen. I'm not being one of these TV preachers like I can see them. Right? I'm just having a little fun. But here's the point. Put your cup down, because, look, I know some of you are thinking, what good is my $50? What good is my $25? You know what, folks? That's everything to us. Number one, as I said before, that's doubled immediately. That $25 becomes $50. And guess what, folks? That is the overwhelming majority of the gifts that come to Catholic Answers. $25, $20, those $10 a month gifts.
That's where we live. I mean,
right now,
yeah.
$10 a month, because guess what? That becomes $360, folks, because $10 a month is $120, and it's going to be effectively tripled because we've got a double match going right now. So, folks, please stop that. Don't let the devil tell you your $10 a month doesn't matter, or your $50 one-time gift doesn't matter. It's everything to us. But secondly, we need that $10,000 gift right now, folks. 888-291-8000. Remember, we are in economic hard times now. The future does not look very bright on the economic horizon. And folks, just many Many. We get the letters. I've personally gotten letters and emails from folks who apologize because they hear me pouring my heart out and saying, please give. And they'll say, you know what, Tim, I would love to be able to give, but I can't. I've been laid off, or my wife's been laid off. We're struggling. We just can't give. But please, we will pray for you. So, folks, if you can give, you really need to step up to the plate right now.
Lots of lines open.
888-291-8000. Call now.
888-291-8000 is the place to call. This the way we stay on the air, the way we have stayed on the air for 25 years, is just doing things like this every 3 months. Just every 3 months, take a few hours, ask folks if they will support us. We try to be very honest with you about where we are. In recent pledge drives, that's meant after the first day saying, wow, it was a really rough, tough first day. We don't have to say that this time. We're on a path where we can reach our goal if folks will respond to the call. And folks are responding. 8 calls on right now, about 8 lines open. 888-291-8000 is the number to call. 888-291-8000. I'm going to go back to the phone lines and let Tim just answer more questions. Tim asked for those larger gifts, and Tim does that advisedly. There's a reason for that. We know that there are lots of folks who will come through with that $20 a month gift, that $10 a month gift. When those are combined with those larger gifts, we reach our goals. It's infallible. We reach the goals if those are combined. So let me tell you, if you can make a monthly pledge, what we're able to give back to say thanks. First of all, if you give in any amount, $10 a month or more, you become a member of our Society 315, which is it's our largest giving society here. You get the T-shirt, the Society 315 T-shirt. You get the car magnet for Catholic Answers. You get coupon to use over at the at shop.catholic.com, and you get every couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, sometimes a month. There's some kind of bonus that comes your way. Sometimes it's a bonus for a product that we have, but a lot of times it's just material that we have that we just share with our good friends in Society 315. If you can do $20 a month or more, in addition to being in the Society 315, we're going to send you the wonderful new book about how archaeology and science are proving the Bible right. It's called The Word Set in Stone by Dave Armstrong. You're going to want that one. And you'll also get 20 Answers the Early Church with it at the $20 a month level. If you could do $45 a month or more, remember, all of these are tripled. These are tripled right now because we have 2 matches on. We will give all that we just mentioned, but you also get a free course in our Catholic Answers School of Apologetics. And that's the course is Evidence for the Church, and it's by our own Tim Staples right here in the studio with me. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000. You know, Tim says, we got more things we want to do. Well, I just mentioned the School of Apologetics. A couple years ago, that was one of those things that we had on the back burner waiting to make sure we could fund it. And we were able to fund it with your help. So there's lots of that if we can get your support. You want to say thank you to one person before I go to the next call? Tim, I thought you would want to because you were asking for those larger gifts.
Yes, absolutely. Gary in Louisiana. Brother, God bless you, just gave $2,600, folks. And of course, that immediately becomes $5,200.
Right, exactly.
CALive. Gary, thank you so much. Let's get somebody else to piggyback on the back of Gary's generosity. Give us a call now at 888-291-8000. Maybe we can get that $5,000 or that $10,000 gift right now so we can not only meet our match for this hour, but let's go beyond and let's build for the future, my friends. And once again, that doesn't mean you're off the hook. You $10 a month givers, you need to call right now, folks, because I'm serious, Si. That is the devil's lie, and I know it is because when they hear somebody giving $2,600, immediately that thought will come because I know old Slewfoot, right? And what's your $10? Your $10 a month is everything, folks. Pick up the phone, 888-291-8000.
Let's go to Denise in Ohio, listening to EWTN on Channel 130, Sirius XM satellite radio. Denise, we're glad you're here. Go ahead with your question for Tim.
Oh, thank you very much. I love your guys' show. I've learned so much from everybody that you have on. My question is from my previous marriage. I did have it annulled through my diocese, and I still have my wedding ring and engagement ring, and I just don't know what is proper according to the church, if it's something that I'm supposed to keep, or if it's
Right.
proper for me to get rid of it, and if so, with it being blessed as a holy sacramental with holy water, what's the proper path to take for it?
All right.
Right. Well, Denise, the church doesn't have, as far as I know, any official legislation on what you have to do with it. But what the church does say is whenever you have a blessed object that is blessed for a particular purpose, and that purpose no longer exists, the blessing no longer exists either. So this is not a matter where you have therefore you'd have to bury it in the yard or anything like that. It does not apply. So basically, you can do what you want with that ring. It could be used in a future marriage. It could be used, as a gift to a child who's getting married. It could be sold. It can be either any of the above. Does that make sense, Denise?
Oh, hang on, Denise. I put her on hold. I'm sorry, Denise. I apologize. I do that sometimes. Go ahead. Does that make sense, Denise?
It does. It
Yes.
does. Thank you.
So rest at peace. Rest. I wanted to say rest in peace, and I realized.
But don't do
wait
that,
a second.
no.
Don't say that because she's alive.
It's
Don't
too soon
do
for that, Denise.
Oh, no.
Don't rest in peace yet.
How about
I don't
this?
plan on it.
Let your heart be at peace.
There you go.
That sounds good.
While
That's
it
what I was
continues
looking for.
beating, Denise. While
Yes, God bless you, Denise. Thanks for your call. And you
Thanks.
know what, folks?
You're
You know,
welcome.
and
Thank
you
you.
know what, folks? Questions like these, we take. You might think this is a small question. There's no such thing. When it's questions
heck
about the faith, these things are important. That we understand because, of course, this answer will have application in other contexts as well. Our Catholic faith is so beautiful, folks. What price can you really put on a soul who comes to Jesus Christ in his church? You can't. And yet, when you call now and you give a gift, I will guarantee you, you are going to be a participant in the salvation of souls. That is just a fact, because we have the testimonies literally by the thousands, and they come in every day of people who come to Jesus in his church because of Catholic Answers Live. And I have to say it, Si, the reason why that happens is because folks in the past have picked up that phone, 888-291-8000. They've called in their donations, and that's why we exist. That's why we can continue to do what we do. So, folks, pick up the phone right now. Stop procrastinating. Si used that word. A lot of us procrastinate. Knock it off. No procrastinating allowed, folks. Pick up the phone right now, 888-291-8000. We need to hear from you. Can you give that $25 a month gift? Can you give that $50 a month? That $100 a month gift? I know there are many of you who can. 888-291-8000 or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And remember, you can text Catholic to 24365. And we need that $10,000. I want to get one $10,000 gift and one $5,000 gift. Can somebody come through for us right now? One more time, 888-291-8000.
888-291-8000. Tim mentioned giving, maybe you could do $100 a month. There are people for whom that is comfortable. That's well within what they can do. And I just want to let you know, if you can, any gift, any monthly pledge over $84 a month, you're a member of what we call the President's Club. All the gifts that I mentioned before would be yours, but also you get a free copy of everything we publish all year. All you got to do is request it. You just say, I want a copy of that new book that came out from Dave Armstrong. Send me that. And we'll send it to you, or whatever it is. You get a subscription to the Catholic Answers magazine. And you're invited to our annual Founders Circle weekend, where we gather with donors to talk about the apostolate, to learn from what people teach us. I mean, there's lots of people who are donors to this apostolate who have expertise in things like computers and media and marketing and business or the church in its various, the schools or hospitals. And it really is very, very helpful to us to hear what folks have to say. So at $84 a month or more, you are invited to be part of that, and we'd love it if you would be. Give us a call, 888-291-8000.
Hey, can I share a really exciting thing?
Yeah.
61% so far of our donors are brand new donors to Catholic Answers.
For this pledge drive?
Yeah, so
isn't
far.
that wonderful?
61%.
That's so helpful.
That is really exciting, folks. And I also want to thank, we got a $50 a month gift from Petra. What a great Catholic name.
Yeah.
Petra in Plano,
That name rocks.
Texas. $50. Remember, $50 a month. that becomes $1,800. Petra, thank you. God bless you.
Thank you all so much. And I do see what Tim's talking about. I'm looking on a little computer readout we get here, and there are a good number of new
That's really
recurring
exciting.
pledges. And those recurring pledges are the backbone of this apostolate, as they are for any apostolate that depends on donations. One thing you should know, we depend entirely on your donations to run the radio program and this part of the apostolate. There's a whole bunch of different things that we do, but the primary thing we do is just come on the air and ask you to keep this show on the air. And if you would pick up that phone and call, we're going to take a very brief break, but you could get the entire call done in the amount of time we're going to be away, 90 seconds or so. 888-291-8000. $20,000 dollar for dollar match. Any amount you give, $1 to $20,000 is matched dollar for dollar right now. Also, a second match for anyone who will start a new recurring monthly donation. 888-291-8000. Are you ready to defend your faith in a world of unbelief? Join us at the 9th Annual Catholic Answers Apologetics Conference. This year's theme, I Believe in God, and it'll help you provide clear and charitable answers to atheism, agnosticism, and plain old indifference. Don't miss what promises to be the event of the season. Join us in San Diego from September 21st through 24th as we welcome our special guest, Dr. Scott Hahn, and an all-star lineup of great Catholic speakers. Spend quality time with your favorite Catholic Answers apologists and enjoy 4 days of fun, fellowship, and adoration of the Almighty. Seats are still available, but they're going fast. Visit CatholicAnswersConference.com or call 888-291-8000 to register. Enter promo code EARLY and save $50. That's CatholicAnswersConference.com.
If you're not a Bible scholar, the full message of how the Sunday Mass readings fit together can be tough to comprehend. Apologist Carlo Broussard is here to help. Join Carlo every Friday for the Sunday Catholic Word podcast. In each episode, he unpacks the scripture readings for that Sunday and brings them all together so you can better understand and defend the faith. Visit SundayCatholicWord.com to subscribe. That's SundayCatholicWord.com.
Want to know more about the origins of the Catholic Church? Joe Heschmeyer explores the beginnings of Christianity. In the early church was the Catholic Church. Joe digs deep into the words and actions of those who lived right after the apostles to refute anti-Catholic claims of how the faith was lived back then. Order your copy of The Early Church Was the Catholic Church today at shop.catholic.com or get it at a good Catholic bookstore near you.
Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. I'm Cy Kellett, your host. Tim Staples in studio with us this hour. Next hour, Joe Heschmeyer, our guest, and it's open forum all day today. If you've got a question about the Catholic faith, whether you're Catholic or not, whether you're a believer or not, if you've got a question about the Pope, about the Bible, about Jesus, about morals, about sacraments, whatever you got, it's welcome here. We'd love to take your call and your question. If you got the app, there's a little button on the app. You just push that button and dials you right into the studio here. So we'd love to hear from you. But we also are raising some money this hour and next hour. We are approaching the halfway mark of our pledge drive. We do a quarterly pledge drive. Let me just set the table for you a little bit, and then I'll let Tim answer some calls. And I promise to be quick about this, but it costs $220,000. We have $220,000 every 3 months, and we are fully funded. And we're fully funded in meaning we can also take on new projects. If we can stay at that level, we can continue to do innovative things, be on new social media platforms or start a new podcast in this or that way or whatever it is. So we need to get to $220,000. If we meet our match every hour, we're still short of that $220,000. We got to go past the match every hour. We don't have $220,000 in matching money. We use that to make sure the pump is primed, but we're a long way to go from where we need to be fully funded. As a matter of fact, we're less than a third of the way there and almost a half of the way through the pledge drive. Tim used that word. I use that word. human beings are procrastinators. We know the last day is going to be the biggest day, but today is kind of the stage setter. If we don't exceed what we did yesterday, we know that we're in rough shape for the last day. If we can go beyond it today, we build each day, then we're in good shape on the last day. So I will tell you again, $20,000 dollar for dollar match. Anything that you give up to $20,000 match this hour. Also, a second match for anyone who will start a new recurring donation. So if you start a recurring donation of, say, $20 a month, then it's going to be matched, and then it's going to be matched again. That's I don't know any other way to say it. Also, we have some wonderful gifts for those who can start at $20 a month. Maybe you could do $45. Maybe you could do $84. Maybe you're one of those people that can do $100 or $150 a month. It will help us use up that match money and get us closer to that overall goal of $220,000. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. People were kind enough to call on the break, but they are off the lines now. We've got 12 lines clear. 12 lines clear for you to use right now, this moment. 888-291-8000. Or as always, you can go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. I know you got something you want to share before we go to the phones.
Yes, real quick, and we're going to get right to your phone calls. But we had a caller, Karen in Boise, that gave us a challenge, and I like this. Boise, Idaho. Karen wants the boys, quote, to invite older adults. That's you and I, the boys.
I know. I thought you meant you and I are the older adults. I think we're both.
That's right. Yeah, I guess we are. To invite older adults whose children are not practicing the faith to donate $10 a month as a form of prayer for the children and as a sign of solidarity with each other. I think that is awesome. We've come out of Lent. We're in Easter, but the truth is the truth. Remember, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving have a place of primacy when we're talking about penance, doing penitential works in the church. Giving alms. In fact, Jesus himself said in Luke chapter 11, verse 41, give alms and behold, all things are clean unto you, which is a reference back to the book of Tobit, where Tobit says essentially the same thing. There is such power in the giving of alms, giving to charity, giving to apostolic work, my friends. It is powerful and destroys sin in the life of the one giving. So think about that, folks. Give that gift of $10 a month, which becomes $360, as we mentioned before, for us, but as a form of prayer for your children. Or let's say some other young people that you may know that have left the faith. What a powerful gift this is, not only to Catholic Answers, but for those who have left the faith. So Karen is challenge you. Give a call, 888-291-8000. Make that pledge of $10 a month and offer it for the salvation of the souls of those children.
888-291-8000. Going to San Angelo, Texas. Andres in San Angelo, Texas, listening on 91.5 FM. Andres, welcome. Go ahead with your question for Tim.
Yes, I wanted to ask about the Mediatrix of all grace, Mary being the Mediatrix of all grace.
Yes.
So I get the concept, I think, I don't have a problem with her, because I could be a mediatrix of grace, just
Amen.
like everyone else can.
I don't know about mediatrix.
Yeah, you can't be a mediatrix.
Right.
You could be a mediator.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
In California, you could be a mediatrix.
That's right.
Not in Texas.
Yes.
But I've heard, I've read some books on Marian consecration, 33 days to morning glory, and they talk about how, God wills it that every single grace from Him goes through Mary or is distributed by Mary, and that is something that I think I just don't understand. Why does it have to be that way?
Okay.
Or why does God will it?
Sure. Well, first of all, of course, when we talk about Mary as Mediatrix of all grace, there's no natural necessity here, as if Mary has some super extra divine gift and power and that sort of thing. No, there's no natural necessity. God could have saved us in any number of ways. However, This is a matter of revelation or the disposition of God in the matter. What is God's will in this matter? And now, from a magisterial perspective, Mary is mediatrix. But at the Council of Vatican II, there was actually a debate on the floor as to whether the fathers would use the language of mediatrix of all grace. And it was actually voted down. They used the language of mediatrix, but not mediatrix of all grace. Now, that doesn't mean it's not the teaching of the church. It is. It is the teaching of the church that Mary is mediatrix of all grace. However, it's not infallibly defined, right? And what do I mean by it is taught? Well, you can look at, for example, the great encyclical letter of Pope St. John Paul the Great, Salvifici Dolores, in section 25, where Pope St. John Paul the Great taught that the sufferings of the Blessed Mother, he says, are so integrally joined together with the sufferings of Jesus at the foot of the cross and on the cross, that they become a participation in the redemption of all. Now, that's more specific to the idea of co-redemptrix. Now, even though the church has kind of cooled on that as a term, Pope Francis, Pope Benedict, John Paul have all said the theology of co-redemptrix is rock solid, meaning that Mary, in her suffering, as John Paul said, participated in the redemption of all. Now, mediatrix, if you look at Lumen Gentium, for example, section 62, Lumen Gentium says this maternity of Mary in the order of grace began with the consent which she gave in faith at the Annunciation. And notice the council teaches on Mary as mediatrix all over sections 52 down to 69 in the section on Mary in Lumen Gentium. It is everywhere. Kind of comes to a sort of fruition here in section 62. But notice how it talks about how from the incarnation to Cana to the cross and into eternity, Mary is involved in the distribution of grace to everyone. Now, listen to what the council says. This maternity of Mary in the order of grace began with the consent which she gave in faith at the Annunciation and which she sustained without wavering beneath the cross, and lasts until the eternal fulfillment of all the elect, taken up to heaven. She did not lay aside this salvific duty, but by her constant intercession continues to bring us the gifts of eternal salvation. See? And she goes on, and the council goes on to say, by her maternal charity, she cares for the brethren of her Son who still journey on earth, surrounded by dangers and difficulties, until they are all led to the happiness of their true home. So notice, it's not only salvation, but also the care and nurturing of each of her children. This is absolutely rooted in sacred scripture. You go to Revelation chapter 12, verse 5, and you see the woman clothed with the Son who gives birth to the Messiah. But then in verse 17, she gives birth to all those who have the testimony of Jesus. And that refers to all of us, right? All those who have the testimony of Jesus until the end of time, as the council says. So great question, my friends. So we have to make that distinction. Mediatrix of all grace, taught by the church on the ordinary level. The language itself has not been defined infallibly. Folks, this is why we're here at Catholic Answers. We need folks that are able to give answers like the one you just heard. People need to be able to know what the Catholic Church actually teaches. We live in a culture, folks, where the church is constantly caricatured and lied about in the media, often by people who name the name of Jesus Christ. Well, folks, I will guarantee you at Catholic Answers, we are absolutely dedicated to giving you nothing but Catholic answers. Please, though, right now, we need your support so that we can continue our mission. Will you help us, folks? We've only got 4 people right now calling. We've got 13 open lines. Folks, we need you to call right now. As Cy mentioned before, we've got a long way to go to get to our ultimate goal of $220,000. We need to go way beyond that $20,000 matching gift today if we are going to make our ultimate goal. So
and there's still matching gift left. Like,
Yes.
people should know that we haven't reached it yet.
We have not reached even our 20,000 for this hour, and we've only got 20 minutes left. So, folks, trust us. We need you now. Please pick up the phone, 888-291-8000. It is really becoming urgent. 888-291-8000, or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com or text Catholic to 24365.
888-291-8000. After Tim read that, a very nice note from a listener suggesting that folks just come in at $10 a month if they've never given before, as a kind of prayer for the children that who have left the faith, as a kind of offering for that. Lots and lots of people came in at the $10 level. So just before we take a quick 1-minute break here, I'm going to remind you what the $10 level means for us. First of all, it's tripled right now, so it becomes $30 a month if you pledge $10 a month over the next 12 months. Also, anyone who comes in at the $10 level becomes a member of our Society 315. You can do that at CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or you can do it by picking up the phone and calling 888-291-8000. If you'd like to just text the word Catholic to 24365. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Text the word Catholic to 24365. So it's tripled. But and you become a member of the Society 315 with the T-shirt and the car magnet and the coupons and the monthly contacts of giving you new material from Catholic Answers, exclusive material often, little interviews we do behind the scenes with people, talks that we get a recording of, those kinds of things. In addition to all of that, while they last, and there's plenty of them right now, I don't want you to think they're about to go out of style, but while they last, we've got a 1-year premium subscription that the folks over at the Hallow app have given us. So it's not it's the premium subscription. If you come in right now at the $10 a month level, that's a lot. We'll take a quick break. Perfect time to call 888-291-8000, or go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Do you love sharing the gospel and want to learn to be more effective? Join the St. Paul Street Evangelization online School of Evangelization. You will learn to build bridges of trust and make disciples by befriending strangers, proclaiming the gospel, inviting people to the church, and praying with others. We'll ask for a pledge of financial support, but if you are unable to give, we'll give you a membership at no cost. Find out more and get involved today at streetevangelization.com. That's streetevangelization.com.
Catholic Answers Live. Tim Staples, our guest this hour. Joe Heschmeyer will be here next hour. So if we don't get to your call this hour, Joe will come next hour. Be happy to answer your question. We'll answer as many as we possibly can. But we're continuing with our fundraising in addition to doing the usual work of just answering questions here. This is what I would like to say to people, Tim, and I want to see if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
B14.
Amen. You know what,
Do you know
folks?
what that means, B14?
That's extremely important, folks, because I got to admit, Si, I was a bit brokenhearted when I saw this note we were given that we're actually down to 13 donors per tower. And for those of you who don't know, Si and I were racking our brains. I know we at once had 15 donors per tower. And
I think at one time it was 16. I think you're right about that.
I think it was 16. And we have now dropped down to 13 donors per tower. Now, folks, this will give you a sense of how important your call is. Now, we've got a lot of towers out there. Yeah. But just lift this back up to that 15 mark per tower. It will
we're
change
fully funded.
Everything.
Yeah.
We are fully funded right here. I mean, if we can go from 13 donors per tower to 15, folks, that means you need to call. Because if we can get a couple of folks from each tower to call right now, and we've already had a few calls from some towers, okay? We can do this. We should not be at 13 donors per tower. So represent your station, your tower well. Give us a call right now, 888-291-8000. And can I take this challenge a little bit higher? We still need that $5,000 gift, and we need that $10,000 gift. Right now, 888-291-8000, and we also need some more $25 and $50 a month donations. Can you join us at 888-291-8000? I'll guarantee you, I say this all the time, Si, but on Judgment Day, you will not be sorry that you gave for the propagation of the gospel of Jesus Christ?
You will not. 888-291-8000. I'm going to go back to the phones. Christian in North Dakota listening on 91.1 FM. Christian, go ahead with your question for Tim.
Hi, guys. So I just had a question about like vows to God, not like religious vows, but like a because those are different, but like a private solemn vow.
Yes, like a Danny Thomas vow. I always like to use that example.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
If he heals his son, he would build a hospital for him, and we all know what happened. But go ahead.
So yeah, I guess I don't have that much information about it, but could you be like, God, I will pledge you this or vow this to you for the rest of my life or whatever time period, and in return, will you give me this? Is that a thing you're allowed to do? Obviously not like $1 million, but like maybe help me with something.
Yeah. Christian, actually, this is a very ancient practice in the church. Absolutely. I mentioned Danny Thomas, the famous Hollywood actor who had a child that was seriously ill, and he vowed if St. Jude, to whom he prayed, would heal his son, he would build a hospital in his name. And my goodness, that vow has literally changed the world. I know I give donations every month to St. Jude Hospital, and they are literally changing the world when it comes to children with cancer and so forth. So yeah, that's absolutely real. That's something that's private. It's between you and God, but absolutely that is something you can do. Though I always caution folks, you should take it seriously. You know, it's not the same as a public vow in the sense that you don't have, your spiritual superiors, and you don't have a legal sort of more of a contract, but it's serious nonetheless. And so it should never be taken lightly, but absolutely, the fruits of those private vows have been enormous over the centuries. And folks, you know what? Once again, this is why we need you guys to help us. There are folks who listen to Catholic Answers Live every day. We learned yesterday, we had a Protestant friend. Wasn't he from Texas?
Yeah, Protestant man from Texas.
From Texas. He's Baptist. And he called, he said, I listen every day. And he said, I want to give to you guys to keep you on the air. I mean, it's amazing, my friends, what happens when you go on the air like we have, and Carl Keating, our old boss who stepped out in faith and led us into these waters. It's incredible what has happened over the years with transformed lives, people who get answers to questions like that fellow just asked, and it changes their life, and then they make a vow, and then it changes hundreds, if not thousands, of other people's lives as well. This is what it's all about. This is what the Catholic faith is about. But there's something that we do special that you don't find very many places. We give you Catholic answers whenever the questions are asked. If it's about faith, morals, if it's about discipline, the practice of the Catholic Church, we give you Catholic answers, folks. And that is priceless. Folks, can you join with us now and support this so we can continue? Right now, we've got 5 open lines. This should not be, because we're coming down to the last 11 minutes and we need your help. Can you call and give that $5,000 gift right now, that $10,000 gift, or can you call and give that $10 a month gift? Please pick up the phone, 888-291-8000. And I want to thank Joe in Louisiana. Now, this is awesome, Cy. Joe in Louisiana just increased his monthly donation from $25 a month to $84 a month to join the President's Club. Let me challenge, maybe we have a $50 a month giver. You're already giving $50 a month. You're already giving $25 a month like Joe was. Take Joe's challenge. Now, Joe didn't actually challenge, but I'm going to take the Joe challenge and put it out there, okay? And follow his lead. Maybe you're giving $25 a month right now. Lift it to $84 a month, and you become a member of the President's Club.
888-291-8000 is the place to go to do that. 888-291-8000. Everybody you talk to is here in the building with us. These are our colleagues who take their afternoon off from what they usually do here just to answer calls. If you want to talk to them, if you want to share their story, your story with them, they will share it with us. If you want to be done quickly, just tell them right at the beginning of the call, hey, I just pulled over the side of the road. I got to get this done quick. They will go so quick. So however you'd like that call to go, it's in your hands. They'd love to talk with you. 888-291-8000. 10 of them are on calls right now. 7 still waiting. 888-291-8000. Right now, $20,000 dollar for dollar match for any pledge. Say you call up and say, I can give $10 right now. It's doubled to $20. Maybe you can give $20. It's doubled to $40.
That's it.
But it's also doubled if you can do what it was Joe just now, right? That just gave $84 a month.
Yeah.
Doubled. And then doubled again, because that's a recurring donation. Any recurring donation is essentially tripled this hour. So we're coming into the end of the hour. We'd really like to meet all that match. We do need your help to do it. We're trying very hard to stay on track to be fully funded, which is $220,000. $220,000 to run this entire radio, podcasting, video operation that we do here. We call it Catholic Answer Studios nowadays, because there's folks doing so many different things, sharing the good news, answering questions about the Catholic faith, often rebutting things that were said about the Catholic faith, either in the media or online or wherever. 888-291-8000. Tim, go ahead. You had something you wanted to share before we go?
Wow, it's just, we've got so many coming in right now. A 2019 convert from agnosticism in Panama City, Florida, signed on for $103.75 a month to help our work. He participates in prison ministry and was just raving about our bulk book sales, helps him to do what he does and build his own Catholic library. He's given away more. He gives everything away, folks. I mean, but look at this, $103.75 a month from a 2019 convert. Folks, we have people calling in and joining with us, but we need you to do it now. We've only got 7.5 minutes late. We need that $5,000 gift. We need that $10,000 gift at 888-291-8000. Go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com or text Catholic to 24365, and we need more of those $25. And I know $25 a month givers, and I know we've got more that are giving $25 a month now that can give $50. I know you're out there. Give us a call now, 888-291-8000.
I tell you what, you keep those phones ringing, and I will keep letting Tim answer questions. We'll go to Louisiana. Anthony in Louisiana watching on YouTube. Anthony, you are going to have to be quick with your question if you'd like an answer.
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
I would like to know, like, the biblical and, I guess, earliest account for Church Fathers' case for intercession of the saints.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anthony.
Yes. Well, it begins right in sacred scripture. And we, of course, Revelation chapter 5, verse 8, we see the 24 elders in heaven. And what are they doing? They're receiving prayers coming up from the earth and responding to them. And in fact, there's a parallel text in Revelation 8, 2 through 5, where the angels are doing the same thing, receiving prayers coming up from the saints on earth, taking them to the throne of God, and then casting down to the earth in the form of lightning and thunder and such, which is symbolic of the effect of those prayers on earth. So it starts right in sacred scripture. But what we find in the early church is some of the oldest writings we have in the walls of the catacombs. I've been there. I've been to Rome and seen these catacombs, and not only in Rome, but elsewhere, where you have prayers etched on the wall. Pray for whatever saint who had died in the 1st century, 2nd century, and so forth. This was something that was ingrained in Christians because it actually goes back before Christ. We see it in 2 Maccabees chapter 12, for example, verse 46. So, folks, you know what? The faith of the Catholic Church, and I wish we had more time, brother. We could talk a lot about the intercession of the saints. But the faith of the Catholic Church, my friends, is the faith of our fathers. It's the faith of the ages, and it's the faith that can set people free and transform nations. We have a track record here. We have literally transformed the world over these last 2,000 years. But folks, we need you right now to join with us. We are coming down to the wire. We've got 5 minutes.
And still have not met the match, so there's still matching money.
Oh my goodness, we haven't even met the $20,000 match yet, my friends. 888-291-8000. Can I get that caller that's going to give that $5,000, that $10,000? How about a $2,000 giver, a $1,000 giver? And remember, if you give $100 a month, That's $3,600 right there.
888-291-8000. When we come back from this very quick break we'll let you know if we meet the match. 888-291-8000. There's lines open, or if you'd like to do it yourself, just go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. If we can use up these matches this hour, we are well on our way. 888-291-8000 or safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Amen.
Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. I am Cy Kellett, your host. Just delighted to be here with you and feeling good because by $1,000, we made that match last hour. We did make the match. And it's exciting to us to make the match all 3 of the hours that we've been with you thus far to ask you for your support here at Catholic Answers. As Tim and I said last hour, we have to go beyond the match, especially in the last 3 hours of the pledge drive, which we are now in. Because the match money it's helpful, but it doesn't get us where we need to get. We need to get to $220,000. We're more than a third of the way there, though. We're halfway through the pledge drive. Like right now, this moment is the halfway point in our on-air pledge drive that we do every 3 months here, and we're 1/3, more than 1/3, slightly more than 1/3, maybe 35 or 36%. Funded. That's great. That is great. Well, that just also means we got a lot of work to do, and we're going to have to ask you for your help over the next 3 hours in order to get there. But there's good reason to be encouraged that it can be done if everyone will do their part, whatever part you feel is appropriate for you to do. It sure would be helpful to us. Let me, first of all, give out the number for those who want to ask a question of our guest, Joe Heschmeyer, this hour. That's 888-318-7884. If you want to get on and ask Joe a question, 888-318-7884. Or you can use the app, just push the call button and that'll get you in here. 888-318-7884. I do that just to get that out of the way because I'm going to mostly be focusing on the other number, which is our pledge drive number. That number gets you right into the offices of our co-workers here at Catholic Answers who will take your call and get you through in about 90 seconds if you need to go fast, or we'll be happy to hear your story or visit with you if you would prefer that. They're all very, very, well, they're mostly very, very nice people, and they'd be happy to talk with you. Well, no apostolate is perfect. That number is 888-291-8000. Here to join us to answer questions and maybe do a little fundraising with us this hour. Joe Heschmeyer. Joe, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure. So I can't tell people listening enough. If you guys don't pull through big in this hour, I'm going to look terrible compared to Tim. He is a rock star. He's hitting all the goals.
We all look terrible compared to Tim.
Meander in. We're going to joke around for an hour, raise $5, and they're going to be so mad and say I'm not allowed on the show anymore.
So there's two things. There's the salvation of souls and Joe's pride on the line this hour.
Yes. Those two things are related. I want to be able to help save souls.
It would make you proud to save souls.
Exactly. There we go.
888-291-8000. Did anybody tell you about the matches this hour, Joe, or should I tell you about the matches this hour?
Please tell me about the matches and tell all of our listeners.
Two different matches still available this hour. First of all, we start with a fresh $20,000 gift that was given to us to that is, we get the $20,000 if we match the $20,000. A generous donor. That's to help us to raise the funds. But there's a second match still available. We do have money still available in the second match, which is for anyone who starts a new monthly pledge. So if you call up and make a one-time pledge of, say, $10, it's going to be matched. It'll be $20. That's fantastic. But if you call up and make a monthly pledge of $10, it'll be matched to be $20 this month and next month and for 12 months out. And all that money comes to us immediately. We don't wait for that. You make you fulfill your pledge each month, but we get the full 120 as a match today. So that's the one to take advantage of if you can. We'd be very much appreciative if you would. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000, or all hour you can go safe and secure, or after the show is over, you can go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Joe Heschmeyer is an apologist here. He's been here with us for a good while now, and you know him from his books like Pope Peter and The Early Church Was the Catholic Church and A Man Named Joseph and many others. And I've got
exciting news on that score. I just discovered today I got a new book on the Eucharist coming out. I mean, I knew I had a new book on the Eucharist coming out. I found out today, June 22nd, is when it's going to apparently be shipped out of the publishers. So.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Things are settling down with publishers after all that COVID mess where you couldn't get any books published. It all seems to be. Yeah.
People were, I guess, stockpiling toilet paper and paper, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I'm just going to need these reams of book paper. Yeah, Carlo went through that last year. He had a wonderful book that he had to wait on. But I'm glad it's
kind of purgatorial for him.
Hey, Joe, I am going to make you work. You are going to have to answer questions this hour.
Let's do it.
And so we're going to go to the phones. But I do want to ask people once again, please Take advantage now, early in the hour, when not that many people are on the line. Pick up that phone and call 888-291-8000. Any gift you give, if it's a one-time gift, gets fully matched up to $20,000. And if it's a recurring monthly gift, it gets matched twice. 888-291-8000. I'm going to put it in your hands now, and we'll put these questions to Joe. I got to find one here, Joe. Okay, Clayton in Ontario, which is in what country, Joe? Ontario's in what?
It's in Canada, unless there's one like an Ontario, Texas. I don't know about.
No, Ontario, California.
Most we have cities in the world have a Texas version.
I know. Texas does have a lot of it. Yeah, but there's also Paris in Texas.
Exactly.
But no, yeah, we got one here in California. Clayton in Ontario, Canada, watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for the call, Clayton. Go ahead with your question for Joe.
Awesome. Hey, so I just watched this because I'm an open-minded person. I watched this video. It was called like the Caesar's Messiah. Essentially, the claim is that the Flavian Dynasty of the Roman emperors created Christianity as a conspiracy to hold the Jews and. There's a lot of problems with it, I found, but like one thing that my question is,
what would be your first problem with the Flavian Dynasty? like I know you say there's a lot of problems, but do you have a number one problem with that?
Yeah. So so my number one problem, or one of the claims, is that in like 71 AD it was created. So
yeah,
if we have my question is there examples of Christianity being practiced before 70 AD?
Yes.
Because if so, then it would.
Perfect guy to ask. Right? Perfect guy to ask, Joe.
Yeah, actually, I'm really grateful you asked this question because it literally in the moments before getting on the show, I finished recording the episode for next week's podcast, Shameless Popery, which you can get at shamelessjoe.com, which I look at the Roman and Jewish kind of positions on certain things related to early Christianity. So I was just looking at these Roman sources. But short answer, Nero in the 60s blames the Great Fire of 66 on the Christians and persecutes them. That'd be very hard to do if they didn't exist yet, right? Like that'd be very difficult to do. And we know about that not from Christian sources. We know about that actually from Roman sources, Tacitus and his annals. And he was alive during that. And so, yeah, there's no way it was created in the 70s because here you have a Roman historian who lived in Rome during the Great Fire as a boy who remembers Nero blaming it on the Christians and then brutally martyring them. So much that Tacitus, who hates Christians, had to admit Nero went pretty far. So that would be a great non-Christian source. You also have Paul's writings, which most people date to the 40s or 50s. You have also the Gospels. Now, the Gospels are going to be more controversial in terms of the dating, and a lot of the controversy comes down to this. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all include references to the temple being destroyed. And so kind of critical scholars, skeptical scholars will say, well, clearly then they must have been written sometime after 70 when the temple was in fact destroyed. Now, notice that argument presupposes Jesus wasn't who he said he is, that Jesus doesn't know the future. And moreover, that Jesus couldn't have just like accurately predicted the temple might be destroyed. So it's a very weak historical argument for the late dating of the Gospels. So I would argue that the writings of the Gospels predate the 70s, that certainly Paul's writings predate, that Nero's persecution of the Christians predates. But you also have in 1 Corinthians 15 this thing called the Corinthian Creed, where St. Paul hands on what he received when he converted. And it includes a very explicit proclamation of the life, death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, and a list of all the people that he appeared to. This is in 1 Corinthians 15, the very beginning of that chapter. And historians typically date this to within 2 years of the life and death of Jesus, because Paul converts probably about 2 years after Jesus' death and resurrection. And so this is the creed he received when he became a Christian. So some sources make it even earlier, maybe even within a few days or weeks, that it might have been proclaimed before Ascension happens, because Ascension isn't mentioned in the creed. So it might have happened before that. All of that is to say, there is a wealth of evidence that Christianity predates the 70s and wasn't invented by the Romans. And in fact, the Roman emperor's contribution to Christianity during this period was killing the Christians. So it's very strange that they would start a religion that they would then mercilessly persecute.
Thanks very, very much. Appreciate that question to get us started this hour. Joe Heschmeyer, our guest. Just want to let you know where we are. We've got a long way to go this hour to use up our $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match. As a matter of fact, I think we've used up about 1,000 of it so far. So $19,000 left on that $20,000 match. We have 13 of our colleagues on the lines ready to take calls, and 3 calls on right now. I don't know how else to say this, but the lines will be busy tomorrow because lots of folks will wait till tomorrow to go. So this would be a great time while they're waiting for you. They're just sitting there waiting for you at the moment. Pick up that phone and call 888-291-8000. We are grateful for it because the fact is, we cannot do what we do unless we are funded during these pledge drives. That's how this radio program is funded. We don't do other things. We don't own radio stations. God bless the Catholic radio stations that air us and any radio station that airs us. Please support your local Catholic radio network or station if you have that where you are, or the app that you're listening to us on right now. But this show goes around the world free to anyone who wants to broadcast it. We do not charge anyone to broadcast it because you pay for it when you pick up that phone and call 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000, or safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Oh,
usually you're cutting to a commercial there, so I paused just for a second, but it's radio.
That's right. This is exactly when we go to a commercial. You thought there was a commercial coming.
Like, oh, yeah, I'm waiting for the music to come
Joe,
on.
guess what? You're the commercial today.
I'm the commercial. Welcome, everyone. It's Radio Drive. I'm back in the zone now. So please, for the love of all that is good and holy, you're not going to miss anything good, obviously. This is a great time to call in, so don't worry, you're going to be missing some good part of the program. I'll make it as bad as I can, so you have every reason to spend your time
now that's
talking to Catholic Answers people on the phone.
888-291-8000 is the number. 888-291-8000. Joe and I staring at one another as the FCC goes. Is that signal off?
This is what it feels like if we don't get the money. You just have dead air.
Yeah, 888-291-8000. Look, right now, 8 lines available, 8 lines open. I'm going to go continue to keep going back to the phones, but I do want to ask you to fill up those lines. As I said, we are completely dependent on your support, but I do want to make sure that we are expressing our gratitude for your support because, we love doing what we do. We love being able to come on the air to talk about Jesus, to talk about the Catholic Church, to answer questions about the Catholic Church, but also, I'm going to be quite frank about this, to be a voice of sanity where are you getting voices of sanity? I mean, it doesn't matter where you turn on the media dial these days. You're getting a lot of anger. You're getting a lot of accusation. And then you're getting some weird stuff where there's constantly new moral innovations that you're like, why? Why are we doing this? It's just hurting people. We need a place where people can go to be encouraged that God loves you and He wants you.
So much of the radio, so much of the TV is dominated by one of two sides in a political issue.
Yeah.
Or the other side. And so to have something that isn't guided by red or blue, but is guided by Jesus Christ, is, I think, an important alternative to what's out there on most of the rest of the radio, most of the rest of TV.
888-291-8000. Look at this. Folks are responding. I do appreciate it. Just 4 lines open now. So perfect a time to call if you'd like, but several folks taking us up on the opportunity to call. So I'm going to make Joe answer questions. 888-291-8000. Back to the other phones we go. Catherine in Green Bay, Wisconsin, watching on Facebook. Catherine, welcome. Go ahead with your question for Joe.
Hi. I only found Catholic Answers about 6 months ago, but oh my gosh, I love it. I joined last pledge drive, $84 a month. Last week I got a surprise book in the mail. How cool is that?
Oh, very nice.
What book was it?
I love Joe, an apologist and a guest, but I tune in for you, Psychella. You make me laugh.
I was going to just try, if I had control of the phone, I would have cut you off right before you get to that but.
Joe, let me have my one moment. Will you?
Yeah,
Come
please.
on.
Go ahead. Enjoy your time in the sun, son.
Catherine is my fan. I have a fan, Joe. This has never happened before to me. Catherine, that's very great stuff. First of all, to just discover us and to come in at $84 a month, that's very generous of you. And thank you very much, Catherine. But more importantly, your taste in radio hosts is magnificent. It really is magnificent.
Catherine, can I ask you a question? Why 84?
Because that was the President's Club. That was like the a gold standard at the time, and I was like feeling generous, and you're worth it.
Thank you. That's very, very kind of you.
In all seriousness, that is a beautiful testimony, and the number of people we hear off the air who say things like that, who are really impacted by this program, who even really like CALive. It's an incredible deal.
That's rarer, frankly, but always welcome, Catherine. The thing about that, the President's Club too, is that, and this is probably why you got the book, but you can request for the whole year that you're giving. You can request anything we publish that year, and we'll send it to you to say thank you. Did anyone make you aware of that, Catherine, or were you?
I heard it like an hour ago.
Hey, we took the money, but we forgot to tell you that there's a benefit that came with that.
It was not the purpose of my.
No, of course not.
The book, but I did get.
But we'd love if you're going to read the books, we'd love you to have them.
Yeah, you know what? Call this exact number 888-291-8000 when we're not having a pledge drive. Tell somebody that you're a member of the President's Club and what you'd like, and they will send it out to you. Joe, you said your book comes out June 22nd.
It does. Yeah, June 22nd. I got a new book on the Eucharist.
You should get that. You should get that, Catherine. That one's well. All right. So you don't have a question. You've done what you want to do right now.
I don't. I just.
No, you don't need a question.
Adoration all over there.
Oh, you're very, very kind, and if you want to call and say nice things about me, you will always go to the top. I will move your call to the top, Catherine. Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye. What a lovely call.
That was a lovely call. Can I say something about the books? This is something I think a lot of people don't know. Our financial model is not built on making a bunch of money selling books. Now, frankly, as an apologist, I make a little bit of money off of books. But Catholic Answers, we're happy if we break even with the books. Like, the purpose of the books is not let's get rich. The purpose of the books is let's share the truth of Jesus Christ and tell people about his church. And as many people as we can get reading those books, as many copies as we can get in people's hands, it really makes a tremendous difference. And it's great because, when people call into the show, we have a couple minutes. But then at the end, when you can send them a copy of the book, and they might spend hours reading the stuff over and being able to think about it and underline passages and highlight stuff and go back to it, it makes a difference. And it's such a beautiful part of the ministry that I think maybe people don't realize how all of these bits kind of go together, how they're kind of interconnected.
Yeah, right. It is an interconnected thing. And there's another thing that Chris Check, our president, is very, very good about in making clear to us, we don't have any competitors in Catholic ministry. We are not competitors of the Word on Fire. We are not competitors of... Who else is out there? Are there any? Ignatius Press.
Sophia
is. Yeah. I knew there were other. No, don't mention the good ones. No, okay, I'm just kidding. We are not.
Wow. We are get some angry calls from Word on Fire now.
No, but I was only kidding. But but Chris, I mean, it really is a lovely thing. Like if somebody calls up and another Catholic apostolate needs materials from Catholic Answers or help from Catholic Answers or wants to partner on something, it's not a question of, hey, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. That is not how things work here. And I have found that extremely refreshing. That's the kind of stuff you're making possible. Like the booklet that Chris was so determined that we make, Why We're Pro-Life, so that the pro-life argument could be put in 1 million people's hands for free, and they could see this is the reasonable, rational way to think about human life. That's the kind of stuff that you've been financing. We do need your help, however, to use up our pledge, our pledge match this hour. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000, or safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. I'll remind you about the matches again before I let Joe answer another question. 2 matches. One, a $20,000 dollar for dollar match just for this hour. If we use it up, we get it, and we are a long way from using it up, but there's phone lines open, so maybe you can help us get that much closer, 888-291-8000, or if you go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, that also is part of that pledge match, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. A second match available for anyone who starts a new monthly pledge. If you will start a new monthly pledge of $10, $20, $30, or like Kathleen just did, $84 a month, whatever fits in your budget. If you can do that, it will be tripled this hour. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000.
Can I give a quick shout out to Frank and Marianne in Louisiana?
Yes,
who
please.
Gave $1,000, so I believe that's now doubled to $2,000. So
Joe, I got to tell you how many
you.
times we've said the word Louisiana. Like the folks in Louisiana are really coming through for us this time.
They live in their parishes.
They do live in their parish. Everyone in Louisiana lives in a parish. Yes, Joe. Thank you, Frank and Marianne. Thank you so much. Thank you to Louisianans coming through for us. We do appreciate it. Joe, don't try to get out of work, though. We're going to Don in New Jersey listening on domestic. Is it domestic media? Okay. All right. Don, go ahead with your question for Joe.
Joe, I was wondering, there have been a number of Eucharistic miracles over the years, and like when the priest breaks the host, drops of blood fall out, or there are pulsating veins in the host. And did he consume that because he thought it might be cannibalism, and did he distribute it to the congregation?
No, that's a great question. I'm very glad you asked that. St. Thomas Aquinas, I believe, actually has a part where he explores that question pretty directly. So for those who aren't familiar, there are these Eucharistic miracles. So Lanciano, Italy, has one of the oldest ones, I believe, where a priest who is struggling with doubt at the moment of consecration, the host bodily transforms and, again, dripping blood onto the linens. And so, no, in those cases, you're not going to receive the host. It is not for consumption there. It is to be preserved. And it is. You can go today to Lanciano. You can go today to Orvieto. You can go today to various other places and see these Eucharistic miracles with your own eyes. And you can see, okay, this has been confirmed to be heart tissue, for instance. That doesn't leave a lot of choices. Either the priest, for some reason, smuggled in part of a human heart that has been strangely well preserved centuries and centuries on, or this was just a Eucharistic miracle. And so unless you're ready to just assume there's a huge category of, grave robbers and cannibals among the priestly class, I think you have to say the Eucharist is true. This is an aspect of apologetics that we can sometimes be uneasy with. It's easy to make the kind of logical arguments, but there's this notion of signs and wonders confirming, as the gospel says, that the miraculous aspect is meant to confirm what we know from reason, what we know from the testimony of Jesus, that is confirmed with these signs. And so it is with the Eucharist. We can understand logically why the Eucharist is true from John 6, from the Last Supper, from the writings of the Church Fathers, but all of this is confirmed with Eucharistic miracles that validate this interpretation quite explicitly and quite profoundly.
And thank you so much for that beautiful question. It's so funny when you say Thomas Aquinas has dealt with this, because the guy dealt with everything. There's just so few things.
I was going to say that at the beginning of every question.
Yeah.
People be like, my daughter's transgender. Oh,
Thomas Aquinas, and he kind of did deal with that.
He kind of did.
888-291-8000 is the number to call to help us to use up our $20,000 match this hour. Every 3 months we come to you for just 6 hours. We are in the fourth of those 6 hours right now. A long way to go to be fully funded, but it's not out of reach if you will help us. We do, and that's what we're coming to you for, to ask you to help us. Lots of folks have taken us up. I'm just looking down the list of donations in the last few hours, and lots of $10 a month pledges, because I guess because we've been asking you for those $10 a month pledges, but also letting you know what you get for those $10 a month pledges, but also because I think that's a level that people are able to come into. Maybe these are new donors. It's a comfortable level to come in, and you become a member of Society 315. You get a free T-shirt if you come in. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You're going to get a free T-shirt. So, and we all wear, those of us who are members, and most of the staff here are members actually of Society 315. We wear our T-shirts around here every now and then.
I will say that T-shirts are surprisingly comfortable.
They're really good T-shirts. I know they are.
For a free T-shirt, especially, it is a very nice. It's the kind of T-shirt
that's Donna Barrett.
Person could sleep in. I feel like it might be oversharing to say whether I do or not, but one could sleep in this shirt very comfortably.
You're an apologist. You're supposed to sleep in your Catholic Answers T-shirt.
I eat, breathe, and sleep Catholic Answers.
888-291-8000. 14 of our colleagues are on the phones right now, ready to take your calls. 5 lines are full, so that means 9 lines open right now. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. I do want to say another very hopeful sign, because I have found that this is always a hopeful sign. Our first gift from Ireland has come in. So I want to say thanks to Kevin in Castle Blaney in Ireland. I don't know, every pledge drive where we get those Irish pledges, we do well. So this is a good sign, Kevin. Thanks very much. 888-291-8000. You should know that people around the world, I see some from Canada. We had, I remember yesterday, Singapore. I haven't looked through the list, so I don't know all the international ones, but I just noticed that we had this lovely gift from Ireland just come in. I want to let you know that. 888-291.
Can I sweeten the pot a little bit too?
Yeah, go ahead.
For any new donors or new monthly donors, they'll also get a 1 year free Hallow Premium subscription.
Yeah, and the Hallow is the most. It's I think is the biggest app in the world now for Catholics. We'll give you the premium subscription for free if you come in at $10 level. 888-291-8000. Want to get right to the core of Christ's saving message? Want a roadmap for living the life Christ calls you to? It's time to look again at the Beatitudes. In his new book, Heart of the Gospel, How the Beatitudes Show Us God's Plan for Happiness, Father Sebastian Walsh demonstrates compellingly how these 8 declarations make up the foundation, the essence, and the final goal of Jesus' teaching. Heart of the Gospel illuminates the scriptural passages from which we get the Beatitudes, explains the significance of their wording, their order, and their timing in Jesus' ministry. And it draws out edifying parallels and connections with salvation history and the lives of the saints. Most importantly, Father Walsh offers wise counsel from his own work as a priest and teacher to help you live the Beatitudes in your own life. Order your copy of Heart of the Gospel today at shop.catholic.com or ask for it at a good Catholic bookstore near you.
Want to know more about the origins of the Catholic Church? Joe Heschmeyer explores the beginnings of Christianity in The Early Church Was the Catholic Church. Joe digs deep into the words and actions of those who lived right after the apostles to refute anti-Catholic claims of how the faith was lived back then. Order your copy of The Early Church Was the Catholic Church today at shop.catholic.com or get it at a good Catholic bookstore near you.
If you're not a Bible scholar, the full message of how the Sunday Mass readings fit together can be tough to comprehend. Apologist Carlo Broussard is here to help. Join Carlo every Friday for the Sunday Catholic Word podcast. In each episode, he unpacks the scripture readings for that Sunday and brings them all together so you can better understand and defend the faith. Visit SundayCatholicWord.com to subscribe. That's SundayCatholicWord.com. Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. I'm Cy Kellett, your host. Our guest is Joe Heschmeyer. We are coming into the final stretch here of our quarterly pledge drive, where we ask you to please help us to be fully funded for the next 3 months. That's how it works here. We don't have a big giant bank account we draw on. We have, for example, unlike some large Catholic apostolates you know about, we've never gotten a 7-figure gift or something like that. To have a 6-figure
gift. But if anyone's listening who can make a 7-figure gift.
Yeah, right. Kanye, call now.
The first 10,000 of it will be matched. So.
So we do count on you to keep us on the air, to keep us funded so we can share this program anywhere anyone wants to broadcast it, anywhere in the world for free. We've never charged anyone, and we want to keep it that way. So we do appreciate that you have a local Catholic radio station to support. I hope you're supporting EWTN. But what we do is we provide this programming, and we need your help in order to do it. 888-291-8000. Let me tell you where we are. We need to raise $220,000. We are at about 84, just coming up to $84,000 raised, and we have 2 hours left to raise all this. So basically, you got to raise about $136,000 in the next 2.5 hours. And you go, that can't be done. Well, it sure can. Jesus has a lot of good friends and lots of very generous friends. And if you would be generous with us now, you will go a long way to helping us be fully funded. 888-291-8000. There's a $20,000 dollar for dollar match on right now. Any gift up to $20,000. So we use up that $20,000 is matched dollar for dollar. There's a second match on for anyone who will start a new monthly pledge. A new monthly pledge will be matched twice, essentially tripling your money. Please pick up the phone now and call. It is somewhat urgent. We flagged a little bit that for the first half of this program, coming into the home stretch here, we need some people to pick up the phone and call. I know Tim Staples usually does it, or when he's here, he usually does it, but I will do it. I'll tell you, the folks who give $10, $20, $30 a month, they're coming through for us right now. We do need to supplement that with some larger pledges. If you're one of those people who's especially blessed and you could give $1,000 right now, maybe you are wonderfully blessed and you could give $5,000 right now, or $2,000, or whatever is the amount, we need some of those right now in order to be on track to be fully funded. 888-291-8000. I am not seeing lots of lines fill up. I see 12 lines right now open. So if
that's
you can,
the wrong direction.
That's the wrong direction. So maybe I should stop talking and let Joe answer some questions. 888-291-8000.
Well, I would say this, so two things. Number one, I want to make sure people get the math, which if you're a new monthly donor, it's not just that you get the one match. You get both matches, correct?
Yes.
So if you say, I'm going to give $20 a month, that's $60 a month.
Right. That's exactly what's happening right now.
Big. That's a double match that's free money. Who doesn't want free money? Also, I think people should know a lot of places do this as kind of a gimmicky thing where they don't really match the funds. They'll just take donor checks and then call it a match. We don't. We actually honestly do it as a match where we get the money if we make the money. We get the money if it gets matched. And so
you mean we don't lie to people? I didn't realize that was a major fundraising strategy, but no, we never lie to you.
They'll cash the check and then call it a donor match, and it's like, no, it's not. But we don't do that. And so people should know this is not a gimmick. We really do this because we want this collaboration between the big fish and the little fish. And especially right now, if you're a big fish donor who is listening, you should know that post-pandemic with inflation and everything else, a lot of the smaller donations have dried up a little bit. And so it's really incumbent upon those with means to really step in the gap there, even more than usual, and step up giving because it's down across the board, both I think for us and for almost everybody. Smaller donations are down, and we need bigger donations to kind of fill in that gap until smaller fish people can get on their feet a little more.
Indeed, it's tough out there. It's tough out there, but some are especially blessed and can do it. And I used to choke on saying, could you make a $10,000 gift? And I don't choke on it anymore because I feel like, God has a lot of good friends, and some of them are of extraordinary means, and they can make that $10,000. So why not give them the opportunity to help us and support us? Because Joe,
you're not going to make it to the end of your life and think I shouldn't have given $10,000 to Catholic Answers.
No, and I'll share this with you, Joe. My wife and I, the bulk of our donating money goes to our parish. The second largest is to Catholic Answers, and then we give to some Catholic radio stations. And the truth is, I do it because I believe in it. Like, I am fully convinced that this is history-changing stuff that's going on right now in Catholic media. I want to support Catholic media, and I want to ask other people to support Catholic media because the world is desperate for even a thimbleful of the truth, and they ain't going to get a thimbleful of the truth when they tune in here. When you listen to Joe Heschmeyer, he's not giving out thimbles full of truth. He's trying to give you the whole thing, the whole chalice, so to speak, all of it. Drink it down because we need it. It's the only remedy that will work for the world, and we're trying to share that remedy, and I never feel bad anymore about asking people to support it. I don't choke on those words. So maybe you could make that larger donation right now. If you can, pick up the phone, call. You won't believe what a delighted group you will have around here. 888-291-8000.
So I was going to maybe add one more thing about the unique mission and role of Catholic radio, because think about it this way. Catholic radio is, I know I say this all the time, but it's true, and I'm going to say it again. A Catholic radio you can tune into And the people who tune into it, maybe they're on the road, maybe they're half interested in it, and if it's a good conversation, they'll stay attuned. They've got a long drive ahead of them, they want to stay awake. You get a whole different category of people than you do in church.
That's right.
You get a whole different category of people than you do when you even write books. That this is a great outreach to people who would otherwise maybe have not a single well-formed Catholic that they know. And so you think, oh, I wish I had Tim Stable's knowledge. I wish I had Jimmy's knowledge, whatever it is. The next best thing you can do, besides, getting years and years worth of experience and having a particularly gifted intellect to remember all of this stuff, well, second best to that is to help support Catholic radio so Tim and Jimmy and Trent and Carlo and Joe and everybody else can be in the ears of those people driving, those people listening, those people tuning in.
It's
a great way of reaching to people, and also at all ages. Families listen in the car, and so the kids are listening to something that they wouldn't have listened to were it not for Catholic radio. They're hearing something they wouldn't have heard otherwise. They're starting to explore and think about questions. They wouldn't pick up a 200-page book, if they're a smaller kid, but they'll listen into the radio show and they'll ask mom and dad some questions. I've been on the other end of this as a Catholic dad and having my daughter ask really good questions, who's 3. So it's a beautiful part of the mission, both reaching, we'd say, unchurched people, but also reaching families and reaching the next generation to help preserve them and strengthen them in the faith.
All right, long way to go. People have begun to fill up the lines. There are 4 lines open, 888-291-8000. Back to the other phones we go so that Joe can answer more questions. Julie in Seattle, Washington, listening on the Catholic Answers Live app. Julie, we're awful glad you're here. Go ahead with your question for Joe.
Hi, thank you so much. Joe, I just want to start by saying, inside also, you guys are amazing, and you have made me a much better Catholic. So I'm deeply appreciative of all the work Catholic Answers does. You guys are amazing.
Thank you very much, Julie. We're having a good hour, me and Joe here. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to. So my question is this, and I'll try and keep it short. I have been doing apologetics with my brother and sister-in-law. We were raised as cradle Catholics, but didn't really know our faith. My brother has fallen away and attends a non-denominational church, and my sister is also involved because she is basically unchurched, pretty much. So we've been doing apologetics and going back and forth, and you guys have helped me a ton in knowing the historical Christian perspective and making logical arguments and all that stuff. None of it has really mattered, and I think I've figured out that what's at the heart of it is this just believe in Jesus idea, and their tolerance for the idea that you can read the Bible and come to wildly different conclusions, that somehow that doesn't matter to God. That's all the non-important stuff, and the essentials are just the Bible's true, and Jesus, is the Son of God and King. And I don't know how to overcome that because I can't get them. They're not interested in all the information. They're not interested in the reason, the logic, the historical arguments. None of that matters because they can say, well, that's great. We all have different opinions. God doesn't care. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on how would you motivate them or help?
I bet there's so many people who would like an answer to this, Julie. This is the question that a million people would love an answer. Joe, what do you got on this?
Yeah, I would start with this. I would lean into the part that you agree on. I would lean into the importance of faith, the importance of believing in Jesus, and also believing what Jesus said. And so it's really important. If God took the trouble to reveal himself in history, God took the trouble to reveal himself in Jesus Christ, and then to have this revelation recorded in the New Testament, shouldn't we care what it means? Shouldn't we care what it says and what it means? And one of the things it says in Philippians 2, St. Paul says, if there's any encouragement in Christ, any incentive of love, any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord, and of one mind. It is not pleasing to God if you've got 10 different people who claim to be his followers who all say he taught different things. Because with God, there isn't yes and no, there's only yes, right? Like he doesn't contradict himself. And so if you've got these contradictory doctrines that are being proclaimed in the name of Jesus, we're not doing the thing we're called to do in Scripture of being of one mind. Now, it's important we also have the same love. So let's not overstate it, right? Like anyone who loves Jesus, they're my brother, they're my sister. But we need to actually know what he taught, because it's very easy to make an idol of my version of Jesus who says things that I want him to say, rather than the real Jesus who says things that are often really challenging. And so that would be maybe where I would start. The next place I would go is John 17, at the Last Supper, when Jesus prays for future disciples. And what does he pray? He prays that they'll all be one. And why does he want them all to be one? So the world can believe. Because when non-Christians see 10 different Christians proclaiming 10 different Christianities that have sometimes very little to do with each other, they say, well, you guys sort it out. I don't believe this. You know, in the same way, if you saw a court case and, you know, the prosecutor called 10 different witnesses and they all contradicted each other, you would say, well, I don't believe the prosecutor. He can't get his act together. His witnesses all disagree. Well, as Christians, when we do this, when we have contradictory witnesses, we actually do a disservice to Jesus Christ. So that's at the level of Christian unity. But there's also the level of what is the church? So in Ephesians chapter 1, St. Paul talks about how God the Father has set Christ above all things. And beginning in verse 22, he says, he has put all things under his feet and has made him the head over all things for the church, which is his body, the fullness of him who fills all in all. I want to focus on that line because that's really incredible, that the church is the fullness of Christ. You cannot hate the church and love Christ, because the church is the fullness of Christ. And as St. Augustine says, commenting on this passage, you don't have the whole Christ unless you have Jesus, the head, plus the church, his body. The whole Christ is not Jesus, we don't care about the church. The whole Christ is not just the head. That's a decapitated Christ. That's not Christian. That's like, the whole point of the incarnation is that God himself enters history and builds a kingdom on earth that'll last forever. This is a prophecy in Daniel 2, that during the time of the Roman Empire, a stone not made by human hands will come and will form this mighty kingdom. That's the church. That's the kingdom he comes and plants on earth. And so the question all Christians should be asking is, what is the church Jesus is speaking about in the Bible? Is it just all Christians everywhere preaching 10 different contradictory creeds? Or is it a visible society, the way Israel was a visible society, the way the Roman Empire was a visible society, the way all the other empires in Daniel 2 were visible societies? And I think if you actually read the Bible, you'll find, yeah, this is a church that's visible, structured, ordered. In Matthew 18, you can take disputes to it when you have a problem. It's founded with the apostles as a cornerstone. St. Peter is given this special role in Matthew 16. That's the church. And so we as Christians, if we care about Jesus the head, we also need to care about Jesus' body, the church. If we care about the bridegroom, we also need to care about the bride. And so the church is not a negotiable part of Christianity. It's not an optional thing. It's not an obstacle or a distraction. It's integral to what Jesus comes and proclaims. His opening words in the Gospel of Mark are repent and believe, for the kingdom of God is at hand. So what is that kingdom? Where do we find it on earth? How do I sign up for that kingdom?
Joe, just beautiful. Just beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for the call, and thank you very much. That was Julie for the call. I do appreciate that you start with what do we share, because we got to start there. But man, disunified church is not the witness that this world needs. The world needs the witness of a unified church where we all love one another, but we are of one accord with one another. I want to thank Carl in South Dakota. He just upped his monthly donation from $5 a month to $15 a month. That's what we're talking about, Carl. Thank you very, very much. A member.
Another way you can triple your gift is just
triple it
yourself.
Yeah, and then we'll triple the triple. I do appreciate that. If your name was Carl, what would you name your son, Joe?
Ooh.
You got to name him Carl Jr., don't you think? I mean, you got to do that.
Oh, right. See, you're on the West Coast. We have
your
Hardee's here.
Yeah.
And so, that joke was, I was thinking Carlson.
I just want to tell you, we're asking people, can you do these recurring gifts? And I'll just give first names: Martin, Jonathan, Cynthia. $103 a month. $15 a month, $10 a month. That's what we need right there. It just has that feeling of everybody coming together to do what they can. We're so grateful for all of that. We are a long way from fully funded, but we are getting closer. Right now, there are 11 lines open. There are 12 lines open. There are 5 people on the lines right now. You have responded in recent minutes. I am going to go back to the phones and let Joe answer questions. Don't worry, it's not going to all be fundraising, but let me set it up for you again, let you know where we are. We need to raise $220,000 to be fully funded. We're on hundreds of radio stations around this country, the satellite radio, and on websites and internet all around the world. $220,000 pays for all of that for 3 months. It's a very much an attainable goal if people will understand that what our need is. This is, Joe was saying before, like when we have a match, it's a real match. Like people don't write us a check until we get until we make the match, and then they do follow up and write the check for us. But they put it on the table, and then we got to go out and match it. And the basic policy that we have here is let you know what the need is, and when we've done that, you've always come through for us. And the need right now is we're $120,000 away from being fully funded, a little more than $120,000, but $120,000 to be close enough is what I'm saying. And we've got 2 hours and 15 minutes left to do this. So could you pick up the phone and call right now, 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000. Lots of folks coming through at the $10 a month level. Maybe you could do that. Maybe you could come through at the $20 a month level. Not as many of those right now, but you'll be a member of Society 315, but you'll also get the wonderful new book from Dave Armstrong called The World Set in Stone, where he looks at the Bible and says, you know what, contrary to what you hear on a lot of media outlets and on the Discovery Channel, the more archaeology we get, Discovery Channel, the more archaeology we get, the more history that we actually learn, the more documents we find from the ancient world, the more we do scientific testing on these documents and on these dig sites, the more it turns out the Bible is really, really accurate. We'd love to give you that in addition to everything else that you get at the $20 a month level. Could you come in at the $20 a month level right now, have your pledge tripled, because we got 2 month matches on at the $20 for any new recurring pledge, and could you and enjoy that book, The Word Set in Stone from Dave Armstrong.
I would have called it Upon These Rocks, because it's all like archaeological proof for the Bible.
Right.
But I'm not, for good reason, I'm not in charge of these things. But I was going to say another
number.
benefits.
Give the number first. 888-291-8000. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Another set of benefits. Society 315 regularly gets these kind of like unscheduled, just I'm going to say random benefits.
I know. I get them in my mailbox all the time.
Yeah, and I even as someone who works at Catholic Answers, I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is a nice surprise.
I know. That's the way I feel.
This was coming. And I got to actually participate in one. So I've got an episode with Archbishop Naumann, Kansas City, Kansas, coming out tomorrow, in which he answers a bunch of questions that people in Society 315 wrote in. And so I got to just read them to the Archbishop, and he responded to them, and we made a video of it. So it's a great privilege, that sort of thing, where I'm looking to do more things like that in the future, just to offer as many things as we can to people who make this ministry possible.
888-291-8000. Come in. I'm going to let Joe go back to the phones and answer at least one more. Maybe we can get a couple more questions in before we have to go. 888-291-8000. Suzanne felt the urge and pledged $1,000 from the Woodlands in Texas. Thank you so much, Suzanne. $100 a month from Deacon Martin in Wyantskill, New York. Oh, I probably should have practiced that one before I tried it, Deacon. I apologize that.
Why ants kill? I think this is a statement about Florida. Fire ants.
Why ants kill? Philip from San Antonio gave $20 a month, and he is ready for that free premium Hallow app subscription. Philip, thank you very, very much. All right. The number is 888-291-8000. Lines are not full. You are getting in easy right now. Tomorrow, lines will be more full. Take advantage of that, please. And also,
this is the express lane today.
This is express lane, right? The express lane's open today. 888-291-8000 right here in San Diego. Melanie, watching on YouTube. We are glad you are here, Melanie. Go ahead with your question for Joe.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. My question is, how long was Jesus on the cross? We were in Bible study, and there is some talk about 6 hours, and I was raised Catholic, and I always thought it was 3 hours. And I went through the Gospels, and there's a little bit of discrepancy here. And then I went to a website, and they tried to talk about one was translated from Greek, and one was translated from Hebrew or something like that. So anyway, why don't you tell me?
How long was Jesus on the cross, Joe?
Yeah, this is a very good question because there's some confusion about this. And the confusion is basically this. Watches with like precise time, like the Apple Watch didn't exist yet, I'm told, in the first century.
You are correct in that, Joe. Even I know that.
Still operating out of the garage at that point. And so when you see the biblical references, it often says the 3rd hour, the 6th hour, the 9th hour. What that means is like mid-morning, midday, mid-afternoon. So it's roughly 3 hours. But none of the evangelists are trying to say this is the exact time that it happened. And so somewhere in late morning, around the latter part of midday to noon, is when Jesus was put on the cross. And then he dies mid-afternoon, about 3 hours later. But depending on where you start the clock there, you could either call his crucifixion is happening in the 3rd hour, which would be 9 o'clock, or the 6th hour, noon, because you're doing these kind of 3 hour segments. I hope that's clear. It's one of those things where we're wanting a little more precision than actually existed in first century timekeeping. But if I guess the fuller answer, if we're going to talk about how long Jesus is on the cross for, he's still on the cross after he dies. So he is bodily still on the cross for a while after. And so it's as it approaches evening that they take him down from the cross, because when evening comes, the Sabbath is going to be there, and it's a holy day, and they don't want dead bodies on the cross because it's ritually impure. So Jesus is still on the cross for presumably a couple hours after he dies on the cross, which is, I think, a whole new way of looking at it and appreciating, particularly Mary still being there and being with Jesus even after he's died. It's I don't know, kind of a profound and moving sort of realization that she doesn't just watch him die. She then stays with his body for hours.
Melanie, thank you so much for the question. I do hope that was helpful to you. Joe Heschmeyer, our guest. Joe, we're coming in the last couple minutes of the hour. We still have not used up our $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match, and we still have a very long way to go. When I say very long, I don't mean to say that in a negative way. We know that the last day is always the busiest day here. So I'm not at all trying to poor mouth it or anything like that. People have been very, very generous with us, but we still have well over $100,000 to raise tomorrow unless we really pick it up here in the last few minutes. So you got a few minutes to pick up the phone and call. Will you call 888-291-8000 and support this apostolate, support the work we do here in this studio, from the podcasts that Joe does to the special projects that we do for the Society 315 or the Radio Club, to just doing this radio program day after day and making it available to millions of people around the world, some of whom have no familiarity at all with the Catholic faith, with its claims, and are often shocked to find out how reasonable and beautiful the claims of the Catholic Church are. We do need your support. Lots and lots of lines open. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000, or go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Okay, I was just going to say, in addition to all of that, if you give a bunch of money today, that means more time to answer questions tomorrow. So one more perk to throw on the whole pile of perks that we're offering you is the sooner we meet all of the matches, the less we have to harass you about meeting matches, and the more we can answer people's calls and questions, which is what I think you want to hear, what we want to do.
Oh, it is. So it is what we want to do.
Calls coming so we can do what we love doing, and you enable us to do it for another while longer, and we'll spare you all of this for many months. And we'll come back and do it again.
Let's see if we can get it under $120,000 that we need to raise tomorrow. And that would take about $7,000 right now. And I just have a few more seconds to talk with you here. Maybe there's somebody who can make that $7,000 gift right now. If you can make that $7,000 gift, you're going to be here hooting and hollering. Wherever you are, you'll hear it coming out of this building because people will be just thrilled. If you want to make a $10 pledge, it's going to be doubled right now. Maybe you could do a $10 a month recurring pledge. It's going to be tripled right now if it's a recurring monthly pledge. But $20 a month, $45 a month. Ask them about the gifts that we have available at the various levels. But we're also going to need some, right now, as we go into the top of the hour, we're going to need some folks to come up with those $1,000, $5,000. Maybe there's somebody who can close that gap for us right now with a $7,000 gift, and then that makes our day much easier tomorrow. As Joe said, we'll answer a lot more questions. Joe Heschmeyer, thanks. I really enjoyed the hour with you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's good to be here.
All right. If you can hear the sound of my voice, we are here ready to take your calls. If it's later and you're listening on the podcast, just go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. It all counts towards this pledge drive, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. We'll stay on the phones until you stop calling. Please call now, 888-291-8000. Lots of lines still open. You'll get in and out quickly, 888-291-8000.